I know I've still got a couple of drone pilots hovering around the channel, pun intended, so this one's for you. A few days ago, Oscar FPV showcased the reliability of Betaflight's new position hold both with and without a compass. It was a great video, short, straight to the point, answered some of my questions. But I had more questions, and that's what I want to answer in today's video with more advanced testing of these systems. In case you have some of the same, here are the questions I'll be answering in this video. How reliable and convenient are both systems with and without a compass? And after aggressive maneuvers, how predictable are these systems? For example, something I really wanted to know is how would Betaflight's position hold react without a compass after you deliberately try to confuse it? I'm talking about performing fast spins, pitch, roll, strafes, you name it. What would it do? Would it settle back into position or just freak out altogether? So let's get straight into it, starting with the compassed version. During Oscar's testing, he had the brains to actually just disable the compass after he did the initial test, which gave him a perfect one-to-one testing. I didn't think of that, so I actually just had two similar birds, but it doesn't matter. There weren't any abnormal behaviors, so I don't think I need to blame anything on the different builds. But yeah, if you want to do this for yourself, just, fly it with the compass and then disable the compass in the configurator for better testing results. For most of these flights, we're just going to be using the DVR footage. This is more of a technical video anyways, and I didn't want to risk putting a camera in the air because these builds were both recently reworked and re-optimized, so I wasn't sure if they were just going to fall out of the sky. Alright, first up, compass calibration. Now, I didn't actually need to use this as an excuse because I didn't run into any performance issues, but something us Betaflight guys need to remember that the iNav guys figured out like 8 years ago is that we occasionally need to calibrate the compass. I would say it's probably a good idea to do it each flight session, not really each flight, but if you've gone a vast distance from your last flight location, you should probably calibrate the compass. And because it wasn't relevant to Betaflight users for a long time, I completely forgot that there is a simple stick command which allows you to enter compass calibration mode in the field without a laptop or a cell phone. It is, I need to look at my cheat sheet, hold on, because I always forget. It's right stick down, left stick forward and to the right, so the top right corner. That gives you 30 seconds to move your quad around in various different axes to calibrate the compass. So if you run into any issues, you might try that. But here, it didn't seem to be a problem. I'm roughly 5 miles away from my house where I calibrated it on the bench. Now I'm sure that nobody watching this video needs me to say this, but just in case, you make these stick commands while the quad is disarmed and the battery's plugged in. If you tried to do it otherwise, I would really like to know how that went. Something I didn't think to test because I'm not used to Betaflight having any form of autonomous flight other than rudimentary GPS rescue, which is admittedly reliable now, but didn't used to be. You can apparently take off in position hold if you have a compass. Now that's according to Google's AI, so if you go test it yourself, just don't blame me if it freaks out. But I didn't think to test that because I didn't know it was a thing. But apparently if you have a compass, you can take off in position hold, so I look forward to trying that out. Anyways, after a brief test flight to make sure the quad doesn't fall apart, I brought it back in, put it in position hold, took off my goggles, and started spinning it around in various different directions. This is just the good old faithful way to test position hold, but our main goal here is to test the version without a compass. This is mostly just to give us a baseline of how it reacts. And that being said, I like it. It holds its position really well. Without any kind of ground sensors like sonar, optical flow, there's a good bit of bobble up and down, but I'm mostly here to test its ability to hold its horizontal position, not so much its altitude. Altitude is obviously important for position hold, but usually when I'm going to be using this, it's not going to be very close to the ground because it's not reliable close to the ground.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
Now on to testing without a compass, and this is where it gets exciting because not only did my results give me confidence for how well the system behaves regardless of how you push it, but it also gave me kind of a better understanding of what's happening under the hood. Let's start with initial heading and how it affects position hold. So, as many of you probably already know, you need to first fly in a semi-straight line. It does not have to be perfect, but a semi-straight line for a short amount of time before position hold becomes available. This is where the first dynamic comes into play. If you're flying on a calm day where you don't really need to bank the quad to hold a straightforward line, then your initial position hold is going to be very accurate. However, if you're flying on a windy day that required significant bank to hold a straightforward line, then your initial position hold is going to be awkward. Scenario number 1. It's a calm day, and at some point during the flight, before activating position hold, you're able to move in a straight line with very little to no bank angle. In this situation, once activating position hold, the quad will act as you expect it to and will be pretty darn reliable, quickly settling into position and then moving in whichever direction you point the sticks, as you expect it to. Scenario number 2. This is where things get interesting, as most of us are expecting odd behavior, and we did get some of that, but not exactly like I expected. Say it's a windy day, and you were not able to establish a very clean straight line heading before activating position hold. Once in position hold, it will still, every time, lock into a very quick, stable hover, and stay in that position for, well, as far as I can tell, until the battery is dead, even if it's fighting wind and you gave it a poor initial heading. But here's where it does get weird, is once you start moving the sticks in position hold with a poor initial heading, it will most likely, well, for example, if you push forward, it's probably going to go forward to the right or forward to the left, just depending on what it had to fight. But it will correct itself only after you release the sticks and let it settle. And it does, once again, need a fair bit of distance before it will make this correction, so you'll need to move it at least a few meters, not a few feet, for it to compensate on its own. Those first two scenarios are what I consider to be likely situations that most pilots will run into at some point, so they should give you some confidence. These next maneuvers are not something I would call aggressive in most situations, but here we're working with unknown expectations and a known hardware limitation, so we are asking a bit much out of the quad. These results were pretty repeatable. A lot of the testing I did was done off camera without recording, and I got the same results every time. I would take off on a fresh pack, head out in a straight line, come back, put it in position hold, and then begin to make sharp, quick, and random yaw movements. I would also add in some roll and some bank. Every single time, no matter what I did to the sticks, when I let go, it would quickly settle into a reliable hover and then just stay there until I did something else. I'm not sure how it's able to do this without a compass, but it did every single time. Now, keep in mind, I have good sats. I usually have between 18 and 22 sats on this quad, and I have a clear view of the open sky. I'm sure that plays some part into it, but knowing that so long as you have good satellites, this thing will settle after being banged around is really confidence-inspiring. Of course, the bird will still suffer from the memory effect, just like on a windy day. After banging the sticks around and then pushing forward, it won't really know which direction it's pointed in and most likely move diagonally. It might even be more severe than that if you really hammered it. But, just like on a windy day, once you've moved a decent distance and then let off the sticks, let it settle, it will correct its heading, and once you push the sticks again, it will begin to move predictably. So please keep in mind that most of this, although the testing results are solid, but most of this is observing what I can see. I predict that a quad with a very good tune will have a lot less memory drift. For example, if you're making sharp yaw maneuvers and you have weak motors or just a poor tune where the quad doesn't stop itself in the direction it thinks it is because it's fighting mechanical leverage, etc., then your heading drift will be more severe. However, I believe maybe on smaller quads or just anything powerful with a good tune that's able to quickly stop itself when you let off the sticks and hold its heading where it thinks it is, then you'll have less drift. This is just a prediction. I can't test that because I'm not very good at tuning quads. To summarize my thoughts on these systems, there's some information in here that you may not have thought have been relevant, but actually might make a big difference depending on your style and your needs. I won't deny that when everything is working as it should and you remember to do your part for calibrating the compass, having a build with a compass should certainly perform better, have less quarks, and just act more predictable. To help combat the fact that most of us Betaflight pilots are not used to having compasses on our builds, and now do, you may want to consider setting a CLI command that allows you to use position hold without the compass. I'll leave it in the description. I'm using this command on my builds from now on, and here's why. From my understanding is Betaflight will still utilize the compass when this command is set to on, as long as it's getting a healthy signal. But if it starts getting an unhealthy signal, or the compass is damaged or not calibrated for whatever reason, then it will default to the more primitive method of finding a heading and still allow you to use position hold. Otherwise, if you don't set this command and your compass acts up, then position hold will likely fail and not become available. And let's face it, when you get a gorgeous day, a bunch of fresh packs, and you want to go out and fly, there's a real good chance that, like me, you're gonna travel a distance and forget to calibrate the compass, and then that feature you wanted to use to scratch your nose or to help land in an awkward position is no longer available. Before I move on to the last but definitely not least topic of convenience, I'd first like to briefly touch on a few quirks about the altitude hold. As far as I can tell, you cannot activate altitude hold with also activating auto level. They're tied together whether you set it up in the modes or not. And this is unfortunate because altitude hold makes cruising at altitude convenient. It lets you focus on one less thing so your attention can be somewhere else, especially if you're trying to get smooth shots, but you don't want to keep drifting up and down. As the higher you go, the harder it is to tell how high you are. But fighting auto level and getting a smooth shot at the same time is pretty impractical. Now, auto level is great in the right situations. I still use it sometimes, but for the majority of my flights, air mode is just the way to go. It's the easiest way to get smooth cinematic shots. But I also understand why they didn't do this for less experienced pilots. Say somebody's in air mode and they activate altitude hold and they pitch too far forward, the motors are just going to start screaming at full power, and it's not going to end well. I believe that a far more practical option, which the devs will probably figure out eventually, is to allow altitude hold with limited air mode. Essentially, it's air mode, but you can only pitch and roll so far before the flight controller just stops you from going any further. This would be nice because it would act as a true cruise control. You're not constantly having to push the stick forward to continue moving, and it'll maintain altitude so you can focus on one less thing. I can see this being useful in more situations than it is right now, because right now it just feels like an awkward gimmick. Getting back to convenience, and what I'll call a small gift for anyone who's made it this far in the video, I originally thought position hold in Betaflight was kind of just a gimmick, something we'd experiment with before inevitably forgetting about completely. And when you consider the fact that we're like 8 years late to the party, you can't blame me for that one. Maybe the devs were running out of ideas and just added it as a talking point, and I'm not implying that's the case. At the time, I couldn't see much use in position hold for mini quad pilots, which is the majority of Betaflight users. Well, thankfully, I decided to do all this testing because inevitably at some point I decided to bring it in, hover, and take my goggles off. And something that seems so obvious now, that line-of-sight pilots take for granted and FPV pilots forget exist, is the fact that landing via line of sight is so much easier in sketchy conditions. For example, I have to contend with about 4 different obstacles in my flying locations. Sandy soil that loves to get stuck to the motor magnets, mud, which is bad for obvious reasons, water, likewise, and trees. Lots and lots of trees. So when you're flying in unfamiliar locations, or you simply just forgot what's on the ground around you, where your safe landing locations are so you won't damage the quad, it can be kind of sketchy. I'm not bad at landing, or I'm not particularly good at it. Usually the bird gets down just fine without damage, but sometimes I'll take my goggles off and find that I landed in the only puddle within 1 square mile. And that led to some unfortunate situations. None of this would mean anything if the system wasn't reliable, but so far it has been every single time. I will bring the quad in about 25 feet up and at a safe distance. I'll hit position hold. I'll let it settle, keep my goggles on for a few seconds just to make sure it's not doing anything weird. After it settles, I'll take my goggles off. I will relax, take my time. I'll take my glasses out of my pocket, put them on. I don't need to keep looking up at the quad because it's just always in the same spot every time. I will position myself comfortably, and then I will fly line of sight, either one of 2 ways. If it's still acting appropriately, I'll keep it in position hold, slowly bring it down, slowly bring it to myself. If it's windy or it just doesn't seem like it's very stable or its altitude is not holding too well, then I'll just put it in auto level, turn off altitude and position hold, bring it in line of sight. It is really nice to be able to do that. Obviously, you don't have to do it all the time, but if you're in a sketchy location, consider trying it because it is just so much more relaxing. Now, for me personally, I'll disarm the quad a few inches above my hand and just let it drop. And that's because I have the confidence in these builds to do so. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm not saying you should do that because these props can hurt if you screw something up. But, you don't have to hand catch it. You can position it above your car or your truck bed or find a nice soft spot on the ground where there's not a bunch of garbage that's going to get into the motor. Landing line of sight's just a convenient way to go sometimes. And where I wouldn't blame you for thinking this is just me forcing position hold to be a solution to a problem that didn't really exist, I'll at least say this. Ever since I caught it in my hand that first time with this feature, I have done it every flight since. When I'm not recording, even when I'm not testing. So that's got to count for something. So I hope you guys got some useful information out of today's video, or at the very least, were mildly entertained. Until next time, fly safe.